Hello. Very hot today. So apologies for the late start. I think I said 4, but I was just trying to spend a little bit of time outside of my room to get some air because it is so hot in the UK today. For the last few weeks, to be fair. Anyway, how's everybody doing? Let's get to the chat, have a look who's here. Everybody drop a like if you haven't already to start off with. We've got 25 people in the building, so that should be 25 likes to get the stream kicked off nice and quickly. Always does help me out, like I say, just to smash the like button. Also, just to put it out there, huge support on the Joao Pedro video that has already come out on the channel. So thank you very much for the support on that. Nearly 200 likes within not even a day being out. So that's performed really, really well, as I would have liked it to. So thank you very much for that. But yeah, let's keep that support going. Drop a like on this stream. We're going to start with a few questions. Then we're going to go into a bit of Joao Pedro chat and sort of more about the system of how we played against Benfica and that chat. Then we'll go into a bit of a question-y sort of section with Kudus and Joao Pedro. And then we're going to end off the stream with a bit of a squad builder sort of chat, because something has come out which I want to talk about to do with what Maresca's sort of said about the squad build, how many attackers in the squad. I'm sure a few of you have seen it. But that's what we're going to go through, and that's how we're going to sort of structure the stream in that sense. So yeah, 10 likes already, 34 in the building. Let's get that up as high as possible. Anyway, what's up? Big up Daniel, big up Victor. A few of you talking. What's up, Azir, Bantu, Cassidy? A few of you just chatting in the... Azir, I was up till 6 a.m. yesterday because I had to watch the game and then I had to write about the game for work. Yeah, so that's why the stream is a very late one today. And then we've got Real Madrid Juve in a few hours, which I'm absolutely buzzing for as well. But again, will mean that I'm working till fairly late. Luckily, I don't have to cover Dortmund tonight. Although, likelihood is, because my sleep schedule is now out of pattern anyway, I'll probably watch the game either way. Cassidy agreeing the second half of that game was really good. I did see that, Daniel, that he signed a 7-year deal. What's up, Zach? What's up, Bruno? Off topic. But did you just see? Yes, I did. Bucks waving Dame is crazy. I did see that, Zach. I wonder who picks him up, though. Mayhem, so confused about squad build with 9 attackers. Exactly, that's what we're going to talk about. City still have big problems. They have big problems in settled defensive state. And, yeah, it's just... First half, I thought they suffocated them really well. Al Hilal, but... Second half, Al Hilal just came out the blocks and City were just stunted for the first sort of 15 minutes before they then got a little bit more control back in the game. But huge for us in terms of that side of the draw, isn't it? Absolutely huge. In terms of now, our route to the final is just ridiculous. Like, we should be making our way to the final without any slip-ups. It's not going to be easy. Palmeiras won't be an easy game, as we saw with Flamengo. Same with whoever we play out of... say Al Hilal. Zach saying Neves and Savic, by the way, both unbelievable, weren't they? Really, really good. Malcolm as well, before he came off, was excellent. So yeah, we could have a big... they're still going to be tough games, but they're games that we can manage. So, are you confident Chelsea could hijack Kudus like what we did with Willian? Who knows? It'd be good, but I'm going to tell you why I've got... It would be cool to see because it's Tottenham and like that's the fun of it. That's what I mean by it would be good. But when we get to the squad building bit at the end of this video, stream, I'm going to speak about why I'm not 100% on Kudus, even though I like him a lot as a player. And we're going to speak about the squad building sense. So let's start off with how we sort of played against Benfica. I'm going to move Kudus off the board here. We're going to put Neto in. I'm going to move Joao Pedro off the board here. I'm going to put Enzo in because on the ball, we saw something like this against Benfica. So, let's get into the tactics against Benfica and how it can be impacted with the signing of Joao Pedro and how I think Enzo Maresca is trying to evolve the team next season, especially on that left-hand side. Now that we've seen Cole Palmer in here, Cucurella holding width, but a key part of this is something that I was mentioning even last season, when we saw it with Joao Felix playing off the left or Nkunku playing off the left. We saw it against Southampton. I think we saw it against Leicester as well. We saw it a few times. Cucurella's role as a width holder is key because there's a few different ways you can use like a primary width holding overlapper. And to have them pinned out wide someone like Cucurella, who doesn't really have the ability to navigate sort of those wide areas on his own in those 1v1 scenarios. That's not where you want him, and that's not how you want to utilize him. So what's the plan? Let's go to see what... There we go. The Benfica game. A lot of the sort of idea here was still to create that front five, as you can see here. You got Cole Palmer drifting in. He started on the left, but he was drifting in field and still playing in that sort of left half space pocket. Now, Cucurella wasn't just always holding the width. At times he was staying up there to sort of provide that width, but he was timing his run based on Cole Palmer's movement forward. And what I mean by that is, as you can see here, you have the fullback, Orsnes, I don't know how to pronounce it. He was following Cole, who was, again, Cole left wing, Orsnes right back. Cucurella was timing his run to arrive behind Orsnes when he was dragged infield by Cole Palmer, to arrive in these situations where if Di Maria didn't track him, we were arriving in these areas and Cucurella, he had a brilliant shot saved off the line. But it was the timings of these runs and these rotations that allowed for Cucurella, again, look, Orsnes has followed Palmer infield. Cucurella has timed his run, he's got away, created separation with his run, and he's in, and then he's going to find himself in the box again, and again, forcing a huge save from Trubin. But you look how far out of position Orsnes is here, and how far he's having to rotate over because of the way Cole Palmer has moved infield. And this is something we spoke about. Having this sort of dynamic on the left-hand side, if we quickly go back to this, having this dynamic on this left-hand side is all well and good to have a number 10 and sort of create this double pocket, which is what a lot of people wanted to see last season. And I spoke about it. I think I made a video about... sorry, I was distracted by the chat there. About having two players in the pockets. However, the space in behind these pockets is key, and that's why the sort of role of whoever is in here is extremely key, and it depends who you're playing against, and it also depends who you've got in the pivot. Now, as you saw last season, whenever we played with an overlapper at right back, usually that would be Malo Gusto, and we actually started Reece James in midfield. And the reason for that was to have two players in here that are strong enough to sort of lock down that middle of the pitch. And you had Reece, who could then rotate out to right back if Malo Gusto was high up. Now, on this scenario, you have Casado. He's actually usually would play on the right side of the pivot, more often than not. He's actually playing on the left side of the pivot in this game because Cucurella is pushed up higher. So the idea is that Casado can rotate out to cover this gap if he needs to. And then you've still got Lavia's presence in the middle of the pitch in there. We get rid of a few of these boxes now. So that is a key sort of aspect of having Cucurella. And again, if you time his run, if he's not just always pinning them at that top end of the pitch, and he's making his runs from deep to arrive in these areas, then even if the ball is lost, he's not always so far out of position that he can't recover the ball. If we go back to a few examples of this. Where were we? Oh no, this is the other example I wanted to touch on. So the other dynamic that I think is key to sort of speak about on this side of the pitch is Cucurella and having a fullback that is not only able to overlap, but he's also able to go infield. Now, in this scenario, yes, it was Cole Palmer playing on the left. But you had Cole, who could come out onto this left-hand side, even though he's not playing as that, like, he's playing on the left, but he wants to be central more often than not. But he still has that ability and that sort of license to receive the ball out wide. And when he does that, you have somebody who's so selfless, but also so tactically aware with Cucurella, that he knows that he has to fill this space. He has to drag Orsnes away. And he's going to make that run into that half space for Cole Palmer to pick out. But also he can drag him infield and leave Palmer in a 1v1 with a very good sort of situation with Di Maria, who's not a defender. So the option then for Orsnes would be, does he double up on Cole Palmer and leave Cucurella to make that run? Or does he follow Cucurella and leave that 1v1 for Cole Palmer? And this is something we saw, which then, again, opens this chance for Cucurella, who's away, and he manages to sort of get into the box. And I think this is one where he puts it across the box, but doesn't sort of amount to anything. But this is the dynamic that I think Maresca wants to see on that left-hand side. And I think the reason he wants to implement it more on the left-hand side is due to that positional versatility that that Cucurella gives you. Because with Cucurella, like I just said, he's got the tactical nous. He works hard to get back, and it means that you can sort of afford for a little bit more protection on this channel than you can maybe on this channel, especially if it's Reece, who you don't know how much you trust his legs yet. So if we see that more on the left-hand side, that makes a lot of sense as to why we could see the addition of Joao Pedro. Because like we said last season, with how this worked with Joao, Felix, and with Nkunku, now with Joao Pedro, you have a player who is more likely to sort of work hard off the ball, win the ball back in these spaces if it does break. You've got a little bit of a combination that could form, like we said with Palmer and Cucurella, where Joao Pedro can pick it up on the touchline, he can pick it up in field, and you can have a nice little combination there of players that are intense, work hard, have the physicality, especially with Joao Pedro in those central areas. And I think it gives you a bit of the best of both worlds. That's one reason I absolutely love the addition of Joao Pedro, because of that versatility that he gives you. Now, again, if you haven't seen the video already, there was a video out on the channel yesterday, which is all in depth about Joao Pedro and his role, because yes, this isn't the only role that I think he'll play. I think sometimes he might be the Palmer backup, and I think sometimes he could even be the Delap/Jackson backup. So in the video yesterday, we touched on that. But in terms of the left-hand side dynamics, this is how I sort of see and envision the next evolution of Enzo Maresca's tactics on that left-hand side, and why he wants to use Cucurella, and why Cucurella is actually so key to the versatility of all of this. Even though, yes, adding another overlapping profile would be good and an extra sort of tool to have in your toolkit, I think people don't underestimate Cucurella's importance within this role just because he's not the most natural overlapper. Okay, now that we've touched on all that tactical stuff, let's get rid of all this and let's go back to the chat, because a lot of stuff was just popping off there whilst I was trying to sort of rattle through all of that. Have I just seen it right? I'm not going to be able to go through all of this. I'm not going to be able to go through all of this to go through it, like back through the chat. Has Forest actually agreed for Malik Fofana? Have I missed something there? By the way, thank you very much for that, Zach. It means a lot to know the feedback on the sort of extra like PowerPointy bits. I do think it sort of adds to the tactics board, and I like being able to switch between the two. There was a way that I used to do it a little while ago where I sort of did a PowerPoint as one and then cut to the tactics board at the end, and it was basically two parts. I like being able to switch back and forth between the two if I want to sort of visualize something. Check fab. Okay, give me a sec. Let me check. Uh-oh, what's happened now? Exclusive. Nottingham Forest agreed with Leon for Malik Fofana. Wow. Bayern and Napoli also called. Chelsea still keen. In all honesty, I think that if I was to predict, I think I could see that being a Bayern Munich transfer. I could see him ending up there. But that's mad. Like Forest agreeing a deal. It's a shame. Like he's holding out for a Champions League move, so he's probably not going to get that move, is he? He's probably not going to move to Forest. Is what I mean. For Farners. Right, let's check fab. Let's go through back of these. Con, they're saying Maresca wants 9 attackers. Yes, we're going to touch on this in a minute. O'Reilly from City would be a good addition. It would be for the exact same reason that I just touched on with Cucurella and the fact that he can go outside, inside. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. He should go to Bayern, yeah, for sure. Do we need Malik Fofana? No, I don't think we do now that we've... And again, I rate Malik Fofana very, very highly, but now that we signed Gittins and Joao Pedro, probably not, no. By the way, I'm just going to plug it because we've got 75 odd people in here now. We've got 25 likes. Can we run that up to minimum 50 likes? Because I'll refresh it in 30 seconds. If we can get that up to 50 plus likes, every time the stream has hit 50 likes in the actual stream section, the video seems to do way better once the sort of stream's over. And it's like gets off to way more people. And yeah, the channel is growing really, really well. I'm trying to push for 5k subs. So every little like to help push the algorithm, every like, every comment, everything that you guys can do to help is really, really appreciated. So please, please, please drop a like. Let's get to 50. We'll refresh that in a minute and have a look. It is very hot, Rainmaker, very hot. I've got the fan on. I've got ice cold water from the fridge. And as soon as this stream's over, I'm going to be going and sitting outside for a little bit to cool down before the Real Madrid game. Where are we? Do you think we'll play the system we played against Benfica and Flamengo, or our old system? We're gonna do a Palmeiras stream on Friday because I need to look into Palmeiras a little bit more just to give it 100% sort of. I've got a rough idea of what I think we might do with how they press. Sort of sometimes falling into a back five sort of in a block, but then pressing quite aggressively on the flanks. I've got something of a rough idea, but I want to watch a couple of like 90s from the Brasileiro, even though I've watched most of them for Esteval anyway, but I didn't really watch them. I was watching them for Esteval, I wasn't watching them for the team structure, so I'm going to watch a few games, and then on Friday we're going to have a stream. I have to go in a sec, but I'll make sure to listen back. 100%, bro. Let's go. No worries at all, Zach. The squad building section, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Because it's going to be interesting to sort of speak about. But yeah, cheers for tuning in as always, Zach. Where are we? Keep missing a few chats. Free run at Hato. It would be nice. Do you think Pedro can play as a touchline winger? As I sort of just said a minute ago, I think he can operate on the touchline as long as the dynamic with Cucurella is correct. Like, it's a bit like Sancho in the sense that Sancho's not really a touchline winger, but he can operate on the touchline if the dynamics were correct. And I think there was a little bit less positional versatility last year that hurt him a bit. Whereas this year, I hope that Cucurella and what we've seen in those little like clips I just showed a minute ago of sort of these, like this, with Cucurella's sort of the movement with the left winger. I think that can sort of play its part. Where are we? Noni goes Arsenal, we hijack Kudus. Is that net positive? I'm so torn on this one, and I'm going to speak about it in the squad building bit because I'm really torn on it because I like Kudus a lot, and I do actually think that like there's a chance. I rate Madueke extremely highly. There's a chance that Kudus he hits the ground running when he joins us and does very well for 1 or 2 seasons. And I really like a lot of the qualities it can bring, especially extra central carrying, which is another asset of what I really like. And I think he's maybe got a more complete game than Madueke. My biggest worry is getting rid of Madueke when I think that the blow is very close. I think the explosion for Madueke is very close. But also the way that it will affect the squad dynamics, because you've also got Quenda coming in next year. So we'll speak about that in a sec. Let me just quickly catch up with the chat. Do you think Pedro will score a lot of goals? I think he'll score a fair amount. Go watch the video if you haven't already from yesterday about it. But I think what I love most about him is attacking the box late, sort of as a late arriver, as that secondary arriver behind the lap. 60 mil for a backup is a lot. Who's 60 mil for who? For who? Kudus or Pedro? Could we see Pedro and Kudus starting together? We could if, for example, if Madueke's sold, right, then it could easily just be that, right? But this is where my sort of squad building, where we're going to get to it in a minute, as to why I think maybe it's not the smartest to add another left-footed right winger, even if you sell Noni, because of the idea of Quenda joining in a few years' time as well. Let's just get a few more chats underway, and I'm going to refresh to check the likes in a minute as well, because we've got 92 people in here, so smash the like button if you haven't already. Perhaps Chelsea exploring a centre-back market. Antonio Silva, I'm going to do more research on Antonio Silva because I was never as big on him as other people were. I rate him. I think he's a high potential central defender. And there's traits that I like. Other people were slightly higher on him than I was when I used to discuss him with people that I worked with. But the other night I thought he was unbelievable against us. So I'm going to do more work on him to sort of see if my opinion on him has changed at all. Other than him, let's see what happens, because I think there's a few that interest me in the market that I've spoke about in the past. Diamonde looks like he's going to Palace though. Mosquera looks like he's going to Arsenal. So a lot of those sort of like similar types are moving elsewhere. So let's see. I think Spurs probably are closer, Jay, but I think there's the common consensus seems that we're somewhat still in. Increasing our depth is very important this season. Feel bad for Maresca with the squad selections. And I said this as well. It's not even necessarily about the numbers of depth. It's the depth of profile. We want lots of different profiles. If the profile depth is good, then that's the key. That's the positive. Let's refresh, see what likes from. 48 likes, and we've got 90 people, so we should be able to get that to 50 quite easily. I'll refresh that again in another couple of minutes. Please, 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 get that to 50 minimum. Pedro started the first game. I think he'll come off the bench. Yeah, this isn't saying who will start, who won't. This is just sort of discussing a few different bits. Okay. Let's talk about Kudus. I want to answer a few questions about Kudus, and then we'll do the squad building section sort of last. So, first of all in the chat, just about Kudus. Yes or no, would you sell Noni to bring in Kudus? Straight up, yes or no? Basically, who would you rather be part of the squad next season? And yeah, I don't think Pedro will start on Friday. I think he might be, maybe on the bench, but... So already we got no and yes. No, yes, no, yes. So quite a mixed response. A couple of no's, maybe more no. So a lot of people would rather keep Madueke. A few yeses, yeah. I hear it, for sure. I hear it. Like I said, I'm going to speak about exactly why. Would be interesting to see your ideal best 11 with Kenda and Esteban having crazy high potential. I just think with like making an 11 nowadays, I think the problem is it's never going to be an 11. Like, even straight away, we just talk about our midfield options. Casada, I mean, like, the one that I've got on screen right now doesn't have Enzo Fernandez in. But that doesn't mean that I don't see Enzo as a starter. Like, I think nowadays you have to sort of see it as more of a squad of like 14 or 15 very important players, like, who will start 25 plus games. And it will rotate between a few, depending on the games and like the game plan. No, if you want Fofana and Kudus. How do you mean? No was if you wanted to keep Madueke instead of Kudus. Chelsea fans are obsessed with mediocre players. Madueke is not good. You don't want to win trophies, but you want Madueke to be starting. Here's what, again, my thing with it is Kudus could come in and help straight away, yes. But I think in the long run, I think it hurts Esteban Kenda, and I think for minimal upside, there's more downside. Whereas if you kept Madueke for another year as the like in contention with Neto on the right wing and allowing Esteban to come through, and then sold him next year if he didn't explode, because I don't think his value is going to drop much. I think you could still get 50 out of him next season, because I think his numbers will be good, if not better, this season with the improvements that have been made in the squad. So that's sort of where I'm at with it. I don't think you'll lose value on him, and I think you can move him next year when you know and have a little bit more of an idea of Esteban, but also you then know that Kenda's coming in, who's a bit of more of a similar profile to Madueke, and there's a bit of a better mix there. Yes, Maresca he wants up to 9 attacking options. So it's the way it was worded is like 8 or 9 attacking options with a squad of 23 or 22 or 23. Let's do the squad building section. Let's do it. We're going to move Kudus out for now because he's not. So what I usually do for this is I sort of like make these boxes, and we'll do it with like in possession. We'll do it with like in possession, sort of like this. Just do it like that. Put Neto there. Okay, what we'll do. Should we do it out of possession actually to begin with? Should probably do it out of possession to begin with, shouldn't we? Because otherwise we don't know what system. We don't really know what system we're going to play. Like, it might be an overlapping fullback. It might be a. Let's do it like this. Okay. So, let's start with the back end because I think it's fairly easy to like. I think there'll be 3 goalkeepers. So I think Jorgensen, Sanchez, and let's just say I'm going to put. I forgot what number he was given for the Club World Cup. I'm going to just put Penders there because there's sort of. I hope Penders goes on loan, by the way, but there's rumours that he stays as the 3rd keeper. So let's just put him there. This is sort of just to figure out what sort of numbers we're going to have, right? Let's say Colwell, Badiashile left side, Kukurea as the left back. You've then got Tosin, Chalobah, and you've technically got Fofana as well. So let's do that for now. You've then got Gusto and Achempong. So again, Achempong could be loaned, but again, we're going to go through that in a minute. Got Casado and Lavia, but you've also got let's say Casado and Enzo. Let's put Lavia here. Let's put Enzo there. Just where I don't have a Sugo on here either. We're gonna put Andre, who I think was number 17. Was Andre? Is he 17 or 19? Andre. Santos in here. We'll put a Sugo in here too. And a Sugo's number 14, I think. Is 17 for Santos. Cool. This one needs to be a bit bigger, this box. Then let's just put Dewsbury Hall in here for now. Assuming Kunku gets sold. Assuming George, yes, Sarr and Anselmino. I'm not going to put them in to begin with because I think the likelihood is both of them get loaned. So I'm going to leave them for now, but good shout. Let's put Madueke here for now. Let's put Jackson there for now. Let's put Gittins, the other one. We don't have a number for Gittins yet though, do we? So let's just do that. Have I missed anyone in terms of... So what I'm going to do as well is I'm going to move a Chempong because I think a Chempong could get loaned. I think it's more likely a Chempong gets loaned than we manage to move like one or two of these guys, like Gusto and Chalobah, for example. Esteval, of course. Of course. My bad. Okay. Good shout. Good looks from the chat to help out there. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. So we've got a 25-man squad right there. Of that, the attacking options are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 attacking options. And that's if you include Dewsbury Hall as an attacking option. Maresca more so has used him as that this season. Sort of. I do need to update Palmer's number. You're right. Good shout as well. So we've got a 25-man squad there. Now, and that's including if you say you selling Kunku, so let's get rid of him. George and a Chempong go out on loan. Okay. Now, the idea for me, I think, would be that you probably want to lose one of these right-sided defenders and bring in somebody like Hato. So if I put Hato here, because he offers sort of more versatility, they probably want to then sell on Chalobah, realistically. Well, let's put sort of the sales down here. So I probably should have put Kunku there as well, but let's just leave it like that. Chalobah's just for sale, and these two are for loan, George and a Chempong. So let's say Hato is a signing there. We've only lost one, like we've not lost a player, so we're still on 25-man squad. But we've now got 2 in each position across the back line, and you've got a little bit more fluidity in the sense that you've got sort of players who can fill in multiple roles. So Hato can do both. If you wanted to move Cole over and play him with Badiashile, you could, as we saw the other day. So that's probably the back line and goalkeepers done. You think you see Trev and Badiashile going? That would be interesting if they could. I think they'll be trying more to get the likes of Disassi off the books. I think Badiashile stays. I think Maresca quite likes him, and I don't mind him being the backup to Colwill, honestly. We all know that Gusto and Badiashile have to go, and Chempong have to stay. I would like Chempong to stay, but only if his minutes were going to be guaranteed, which I don't think they will, in which case I think a loan's better for him. Gusto, I don't think will be sold either. Trev's our best centre-back. I just think he's the most likely to be moved because I don't think, like, again, Fofana is one of those ones that clearly they want to keep around for when he is fit. What I've just thought of, though, with Fofana barely fit, maybe if you do sell Trev, maybe you do keep a Chempong around and, like, try and sort of give him as many minutes as possible, purely because if Fofana's then out, you've got less options as the right central defender. So I'm gonna put a Chempong on the side purely because I don't know how if he'd sort of make that part of the 23 either, because Chempong's only just sort of been brought into the senior side. I wonder if he wouldn't sort of view him in that way. In terms of the midfield, I think all 5 stay. which is interesting because now you then end up with, how many did I say we have? We have 25 here, don't we? We have 25 players. I think KDH probably goes. Although I don't even know if he gets sold, but like he's another one that seems to be on the chopping block. And you're saying you don't count Fofana. So this now is a 24-man squad, and that's with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 attacking options, and Maresca said 8 or 9. So let's say it's with 8, but that's still technically higher than the 22 to 23 players. You don't know how you can get down to 22, 23 players with Fofana, Lavia, and James injury issues. That's kind of what I'm thinking as well, Pocket, which is why I wonder if the likes of, like, he's, like you say, 22 to 23, but I wonder if, say, a Chempong is not seen as part of that because he's more of a backup to Fofana. Like, if he gets injured, but he's also young enough that maybe they don't view him as that senior, even though he has been sort of brought up this year. And this is also meaning that a lot of players have to get loaned out too. But this is a 24-man squad. Like I say, it needs to be 22, 23. Now, the good thing about this is, let's say Madueke is sold. Okay. Now, what you have is, and you could, whether Enzo gets sort of seen as an attacking option as well as one of those 8, I doubt it. But this makes it a 23-man squad, or like first team squad. But now you only have 7 attacking options, and he said he wanted 8 or 9. So again, does it mean that Esteval isn't viewed as part of the 22-23 because he's going to be sort of settling in? So then maybe you do bring in a Kudus. And then again, you've now got sort of options everywhere. So you've got Kudus who can play on the right, 10, or the left. You've got Joao Pedro who can play left, 10, or up front. You've got Neto who can play on both wings. You've got Esteval who wants to play more in the 10. So again, like, does that actually mean Kudus comes in to fight with Neto on the right and Esteval ends up sort of playing bit part minutes behind Palmer this year? This would make sense in terms of this would be a 24-man squad, but that's including Esteval. Let's say you put a Chempong in there as well. That's a 25-man squad, but 2 of those players are sort of so young with Esteval and a Chempong that, and even Hato, to be fair, you've got like players that maybe don't mind being on the periphery, say Gittins as well, Penders as a goalkeeper. So again, keeping that third goalkeeper around, maybe that doesn't even need to count as part of the 23-man squad because again, he's a third choice. And they know their role. And ideally that wouldn't be Penders. You'd probably just want that to be Slanina so that Penders can go out on loan and get sort of time actually progressing. If this was our squad going into the season, let's say Madueke out and Kudus is in, for example, and yeah, it is rough. How happy out of 10 would you be with this squad build? As it is. So again, I've added a defender, and then we've added Kudus as well. Let's ask you first what you think about that before we actually get into why I think about Kudus and Kenda, why that could sort of factor in. Giyu, I think, will be loaned out. Sell at an 8. Sell Jackson. Badiashile out and Capier in. I just don't think we make that many moves, is my thing. I think like 1 or 2 moves, like a Hato and a Kudus, that's still 2 more moves. Or Ekatike as well. Goalkeeper situation is scary, I agree. That's another thing. Maybe Sanchez, maybe they do manage to sell someone like Sanchez and you do bring in Magnan. Or somebody else. Only issue is Jackson 9, Pedro left wing. I think he's a 9. But yeah, like, this is, again, he's there in the chart, but he can play anywhere, so it doesn't really matter. Like, you could fiddle things around so that it's like this, and now he's seen as a 10. Like, it just depends what way you sort of put things. But I think it will be so sort of fluid in that sense that it doesn't really matter. It's more so that you've just got 8 attacking options. What's up, Sean? What's up? Hit the like button whilst you're in. KDH underrated. I don't mind him being around as a squad player, for sure. I actually kind of agree with this take. I don't know about, I'm not 100% sure I agree with the low block take. I don't think it's like one of his main sort of qualities. Like, but I rate his sort of effort and the way that he sort of fought at the end of the season. I thought was actually really important. Don't you think we need our tall lads? Yeah, I do. I just think I think Sarr will get loaned out because I don't think Tosin gets moved on. I don't think Fofana gets moved on. And I think even if Chalobah gets moved on, Sarr won't get the minutes he needs. We're at 61 likes. Let's go, Daniel. Can we get that to 75? Because we've got more than 75 people in it. Thanks for the update on that, Daniel. Kudus or Fofana, you're torn. You're torn. That's interesting. Does it depend if Madueke sold for you, though, Football Universe, as to which one you pick? And yeah, which type of centre-back is tough? Because for me, it depends on who you move on. If you move on 2 of the right centre-backs, then I would definitely go and get like an actual like aggressor right centre-back. But I'm so big on a Chempong that Hato's kind of the one that I want most now as a defender in my head. Yes, Madueke goes. So if Madueke goes, you'd pick Kudus. Or that's what I mean, like, does Madueke going, does that make the decision easier for you of which one you'd prefer, Kudus or Fofana, or is it just as hard? Want to get all the transfer business done before the pre-season? Ideally, yeah, but we're probably going to have a few weeks off anyway after the Club World Cup, so there'll be plenty of time to do the business. What you've put here is true, I think, Mauricio. I think he wants one in each position like this, and I think then one who can cover everywhere. But I don't think it's even as simple as one who can cover everywhere. I think it's like you want a few that specialise in one, and then you want a few that specialise across, like a few like in-betweeners. So you've got Pedro Neto who can play multiple, Esteval who can play multiple, Kudus would be able to play multiple, so that would be very movable. Brings to the squad. Central carrying is one of the big ones. I think like his ability to sort of take it infield and sort of protect the ball when he is driving infield is a key one for him. Again, transition threat. He's very sort of duel heavy, works hard off the ball, like wins his duels in that sense. And he's direct, much like Madueke. Now, let's talk about why I think Madueke why I think Madueke to stay is a good idea, or at least why I'm sort of hesitant. And it's largely around Quenda. Let's say Madueke sold, Kudus is signed, and you've then got Quenda coming in 2026. Now what you've got is you've got a massive overload of players to play on the right, because if you want Esteval to start, because Palmer's starting, where's Esteval going to start? Probably on the right. Like, yes, maybe his first season he gets minutes as the understudy to Palmer, but if you want to play them together, you're going to have to find a way which has them both, which would be Esteval on the right. Then your minutes are, can Quenda play on the right or the left? So and he's another one that you want to be given good minutes to straight away. Joao Pedro, Gittins, you just a massive investment and could explode hugely, is another one. Neto as well. Kudus, at this point, you have to sell somebody, in my opinion. And at that point, you're moving on someone like Neto, who I actually don't think should be moved on, because I think the intangibles that he brings, I think he's a brilliant crosser, which is a different type of player that we miss. I wouldn't want to sell Neto because of that. So therefore, like, you're then looking, do we move on Joao Pedro straight away again? Do we move on Kudus straight away again? Do we move on Jackson at that point and move Joao Pedro to there? Maybe that's the most likely. But again, it depends what other moves they make in the window. Whereas if you don't buy Kudus and you keep with Madueke, this is your situation for this season. Then next season, you sell Madueke, you bring in Kenda, and it's much more manageable. It's a pretty much straight in and out, and you don't even, like, you can make the decision on Madueke then and there, because if he does explode, maybe you don't want to get rid of him, and maybe you sort of, then you do look to maybe move on Jackson instead, but it gives you options, and I think it keeps the scope wider. Whereas I think by doing this move to Kudus, I think you're blocking pathways without thinking about which your next move will be to sort of free it back up, especially when you then like move Esteval over to here. And yes, Kenda can play on the right, Neto can play on the right, Kudus can play on the left, on the left for all of them, and like can play in the 10. There's versatility there. What if Kenda gets injured or doesn't improve? But again, like, Kenda would be coming in as like a 9th, not an 8th. So like, and yeah, he's on a 7-year deal. Kenda is somebody I want to give like huge minutes to. Like, in the same way that we talk about how good Esteval is, Kenda is a ridiculously high level talent. The reason you're for the Kudus signing is because of his versatility. So if you overload the right a year, he can cover somewhere else. Yeah, and I do hear that part of it. Like I said, I understand that he can play multiple positions, and that's part of the sort of like idea of bringing him in. But do people understand what I mean by sort of the clogging of the, like, who would you then? Because like, say this is then the case in 2026 of our attack. Ignore the back line. This is our attacking line. Who would you move on, or who do you think becomes unhappy? Because one of the two happens. You either have to move somebody on, or someone like Kenda gets unhappy. Someone like Esteval gets unhappy. So, or like Gittins. So, which would you, of this sort of attacking unit, if you then had to move one on, which would it be in 2026 when Kenda does arrive? Let me know. That's kind of what I just put here, Prem Talk, for like what could happen. Chalobah and Madueke being sold, George being loaned. Get your point though, but it's hard to make sense of the squad. Yeah, I hear it. Another thing on it, Esteval has had a really bad 6 months at Palmeiras. I wouldn't say really bad at all. Definitely not. It's not a guarantee he'll have a big impact right away, and that's another reason why I want to keep Madueke, right? Because then Esteval is only a backup as a right wing and a 10, so that doesn't affect it. You're all saying Jackson, which makes the most sense. Palmer has to go. That's nuts. And that's what I mean. That is the most likely, I think, raised, that we would then sell Neto, but I just don't really agree with it. Chalobah better than Cole? No, I don't agree with that. I think Sarr has been brought in to replace Fofana, partner Levi permanently. Long term, maybe. I don't think so straight away, I wouldn't say. What has Neto done that puts him ahead of Madueke? In terms of a starting position, like for next season, overall, I'm a big Madueke fan, but I think it's the intangibles that Neto brings as to why I keep him around the squad. And I would rather him be a backup than Madueke, especially if you're then going to bring in, if you have Quenda and Gittins on either wing, I think you've got the sort of directness that you get from Noni. I think then what I want from my other role is a very cross-oriented, hard-working, tenacious player. And I think Neto fills that role better than Madueke. So overall, that's what I'm thinking, like long-term. Hard to decide now, considering we haven't seen a few of them play. Yeah, that's fair. From Brazil, Palmeiras fans have been hating on him. Not that I agree. I think he's one of their best players. Yeah, I've seen some, but again, he's already moved on, so like that affinity towards him is like slowly. It's not gone because like they still love him, obviously, like generally, but it's not, the protection isn't going to be there as much for him because he's not. They know he's not their player. Like what you said during the Fofana stream, it makes more sense to keep Noni in. Yeah, for sure. Where is Mamadou Sarr staying? Is getting a loan. Yeah, it could be the other way around. It could be Sarr stays, a Chempong gets a loan. I think maybe a Chempong's maybe more suited to. It's tough because I want a Chempong to get minutes, so it's tough. Now has the hunger. I agree with that. Better crossing off ball movement. Yeah, that creates more chances. Yeah. Pardon me. I don't think Esteval needs a loan. No, I want to integrate him this season, but slowly. No, he's been more direct in recent months, to be fair. He's been trying to be more direct, yeah. But I don't even think that's like a key thing, because like, I want him to do it at times, but I quite like that he's a bit more of a measured version, as long as you've then got someone like a Gittins or a Kenda or like at the minute Madueke to give the opposite, or like something a little bit different. Any keeper outside of Mike you would suggest? The one I always go back to is Chevalier, but it's tough because then Penders is route. I just think Maignan made so much sense. Like I said though at the beginning, for me it would have been Petrovic. If you weren't going to get Mike Maignan, then you should have kept Petrovic around, and he would have been the bridge towards Penders. So at this point, goalkeeper's a very confusing one. Understand why people don't want Madueke sub, because he could explode, but it's all if buts and maybes. I mean, he didn't get 20 GA last season though, so he's not ready at that sense. But he is ready. I think he would make an impact straight away, but I just think Madueke would improve again next season. For me, he's untouchable. Martin Palmer. We should definitely keep Madueke for another season. Yeah, exactly this, Bruce. Trouble when Quenda arrives. Bolka. Yeah, I quite like Bolka. No point keeping George and Chempong. Yeah, and that's what I mean. I'm willing for them both to go on loan to get the minutes that they deserve, to improve upon the minutes they already got this season. If George hadn't got the exposure that he got this season to the first team, then I wouldn't have minded him staying around as like a ninth attacker. But because he's had that exposure now, I want him to continue with that exposure to first team football. Okay, we're going to wrap it up in a minute because it's too hot to go for longer than 45 minutes, and we're nearly at 50, but about 45 with the 5-minute starter that I usually go for. Let's have a quick refresh to see what we're on for the stream, see how we've done. There's a video coming out later today about the tactics, video coming out tomorrow about a few other bits. I haven't exactly decided which video will come out tomorrow, but then Thursday we'll have a squad builder video. Friday we'll have the Palmeiras preview, so loads of content coming on the channel. So yeah, we're on 66 likes. On your way out, there's 79 people, so if you're one of the people that hasn't hit the like button, on your way out, could you help us get to 75? We're only 9 away from 75, that would be ideal. Demabo, drop 1 or 2 questions, I'll quickly answer them before we end the stream. Because we've got 85 people in here, and hopefully we can use that to get 8 more likes. Ugachukwu, unfortunately, I think he'll get sold. Hopefully, like, maybe not, maybe alone, but I just, like, there's just not enough room in the midfield. But I do like Ugachukwu a lot. Who do you think will be the next signing? That's tough. Honestly, just based off what's happening right now, like, I would just say Kudus, because it's the only one that's got the traction currently. But it could genuinely be anything. Do you see us paying the Hugo Ekitike price if we sell Jackson? That's still something I would do, by the way. Like, this squad building thing, like, if you can bring me Ekitike and sell Jackson, I would do that. But if you can't get Ekitike, then I would keep Jackson. So it's like, that's sort of how I see it. Every top 14 in the Prem, that's ridiculous as well. Just don't agree with that. Do not agree with that. Last few minutes. This Demabo guy hasn't dropped any of the questions. I'm going to give it like 30 seconds. Oh, here's one. We'll do this and then we're going to head off. But as Pocket says here, get the likes up, people. Big up. Paez on loan to Strasbourg for me for 1 year. We're doing the best. How do we balance the team in 26 with Kenda coming in alongside Gittins and Pedro? Not sure if you're just joined, Demabo, but we've just spoke about all of that here. So I'm going to end the stream now, but feel free to watch it back as a video because that is easy to do. And then you can sort of look there and get your answer from that. Was Kudus generating 20 GA in the prior season playing from the right wing? I mean, he was also playing, he was playing a bit of both, wasn't he? He was playing on the right, but then when Bowen came back, he was playing a bit up, Bowen was playing up front, Kudus on the right. Kudus played a bit in the 10 as well. So he was playing more off the right in that season where his breakthrough season at West Ham, yeah. Thank you, Vish was. Thank you very much. We're going to end the stream there. Over 45 minutes of the stream done. So, good little session. Leave a like on your way out. Check out all the videos on the channel. Check out the Pedro Neto video if you haven't already. Not Pedro Neto, Joao Pedro. And we'll be back on Friday for our next stream. But videos every day until then. So, keep up with all the content. Subscribe if you haven't already. Drop a like. And I'll see you guys next time.